BI 36 Love Your Enemies. The Process Church of the Final Judgment. What do we mean by loving our enemies? When we talk about loving our wives, our husbands, our children, and our closest friends, we are talking first of all about an emotion of love. But that's not what we mean when we talk about loving our enemies. In order to love our enemies, we are not required to create within ourselves warm and affectionate emotional feelings. These are for personal relationships. For even within the term love, there is extensive differentiation between the most immediate and personal end of the spectrum and the most remote and impersonal end. There are three aspects of love. The first involves awareness, the second, action, and the third, emotion. If someone presents himself as our enemy, in order to love him we must first become aware of certain things: his basic validity, the fundamental unity between him and ourselves, his basic choicelessness, the burden aspect of his opposition to us, and anything else of a similar or related nature which is calculated to disarm any feelings of antagonism or hatred or vengefulness or spite or malice, with which we might react towards him. This is the first aspect of love, seeing behind the presented image of enmity and recognizing the underlying validity. At any given moment, this may be all that is required of us. If the awareness is real and not simply an intellectual idea, it will effectively prevent a negative response from us. If we really know these things about him, rather than just thinking them or being told they are true, then we will not make the usual destructive moves against him. That may be enough in some circumstances, a mere transcendence of antagonism through awareness, but at other times the second aspect of love may also be appropriate: action. The action of creating a relevant positive effect on someone is a manifestation of love. The appropriate action, the relevant effect, could be anything, depending on the nature of the situation. It could be a friendly gesture, it could be very firm authority and control, it could be a material gift, it could even be a reprimand, or it could be something more involved and complex. Whatever it is, its validity depends upon the basic positivity and relevance of the effect created. Results, as always, are the criteria. If they are desirable, then the action was appropriate. If they are undesirable, then it was not. And just as the second aspect of love is not always appropriate, awareness of a person's basic validity is sometimes all that is required, so the third aspect, emotion, is even less often necessary. Ultimately we may aim to help our worst enemy to become a close friend. But this is by no means always possible, and it's certainly not a requirement. We can manifest a wholly constructive acceptance of that person with the first two aspects of love, or even the first aspect alone, without having to manifest an emotion of love towards him. All this of course applies not only to our would-be enemies, but to everyone. We can love all things and all people without having to feel the emotion of love towards them. That is reserved for those who are closest to us on a personal level. It's not that those who are closest to us are any better than everyone else, or more valid or more important, it's simply that their relationship to us is different. But that difference is right. It's appropriate. Some people may demand that we love them with our emotions, but if we go into agreement with their demand and tell ourselves that we are failing to love them if we do not meet it, then we have lost the meaning of love. We have allowed it to be narrowed down to an emotion. And if we try to force ourselves to feel the love that is demanded of us, then we have fallen into a trap. Remember from BI 23, in a different context, we gain nothing by trying to force ourselves to feel things, but we gain everything by allowing ourselves to be aware of things. Quote, "Emotion is sometimes a part of love, but it is never a requirement of love. The requirements of love are awareness always and action sometimes. So be it." Robert de Grimston. The 11th of March 1972.